It is so wonderful to meet you. I've been reading your book nonstop for the last week. All Business is Personal. I wish I'd known about this company like 20 years ago because I'm in the health industry too. It's kind of like in the best of all possible worlds. What would you want the medical profession to be like? And there it was, written and done. And I'm like, oh my God, how could I not be part of this? But anyway, now I know about it. And also, and I'll let you talk for the rest of this conversation, but it was like a blueprint for any business and a family even. So thank you. Your book's amazing. And I'm really delighted to interview you. So
Well, Steph, I'm just glad that you found value in the book and that you're going to take this farther, way farther. That was just there for foundation. That's why you didn't read it until the
it's so nice of you to say that. So I guess my burning question is now that Amazon acquired One Medical, how do they keep the personal touch?
Yeah, I was a little scared that you're going to make me say something about Amazon that my packages wouldn't show up on time or something in retaliation. I think this is going to be a huge challenge, right? This is not technology companies that have come into human service brands have not done really well. There have been a lot of big money players come into healthcare, for example, who've not been able to execute the efficiency dream that they have. Healthcare is very complicated, as you well know. So many stakeholders, insurance providers, actual service providers. You've got patients in the mix. You've got big systems in the mix. So it'll be interesting to see how well they do it. I know certainly they bolted it onto their membership model anyway. When you have Amazon Prime anyway, you are a membership company. The company we're talking about, for those who are not clued in, is a company called Amazon One Medical, formerly just One Medical, bought by Amazon for $1 billion. And the creation of Amazon partnering with them was a nice fit because Amazon, right, the One Medical company we're talking about, was a membership access to kind of easier care, if you will. And so Amazon's trying to pull it off. We'll see how well they do.
Well, with a huge technology infrastructure in One Medical,
Yeah.
which was brilliant too. That's why I was just so overwhelmed. I was so excited to read about it because I had a little bit of similar business and I dealt with insurance companies. I dealt with infrastructures of cities and areas and school boards and things like that. And it's just what I think, honestly, this is my humble opinion, is that it's perfect because all the time-taking data input and all that. Now that can be done by AI. And then there is room for people left. My kids are millennials and they're like, oh, it's going to ruin everything for everybody. No, it's amplifying everything and it gives us a chance to do the fun part, which is the customer part and the learning and creative part. So
Well, and
I'm
I think
thrilled.
your approach to your kids is brilliant. I mean, I know they're booing graduation speakers now when they bring up AI. So it's clear there's a lot of anxiety among current graduates about what this is going to mean for the job market, and I understand that. I think it's like any other tool. It isn't a silver bullet. We can dream it will change everything for the better. This is going to change a lot, really seismically. But the people who guide these tools are going to be the winners. If you were considering yourself a bricklayer, then you're probably going to be outdone by AI. If you are the architect, you can help AI craft a cathedral you could have never crafted before.
I can just see so much use for it. And to free us from all that. I mean, I have a niece who's a teacher. She spends every minute of her spare time doing admin. That's so unnecessary. She should be doing and planning things for the children. So I just see the future as being a great thing. And you can choose either way. You can decide, oh, it's going to ruin everything. It's going to take jobs, but it'll create other ones. And
Yeah.
I
Well, and
think,
I think in all businesses, personal, we're talking about pajama time for providers, right? Where they were doing their clinical notes in the evening, whereas now AI can be recording that conversation, transcribing that conversation. Accuracy levels in healthcare are a whole different thing. So it's a big deal to make
it's
sure you're
huge.
not just minimum viable product here. This is life or death in accuracy. So again, I think all of this is part of being a great leader, like you are a great reader, a person who's constantly considering, okay, we've got these emerging technologies. How do we deploy them for the good? Because these things can be also do some serious damage quickly if deployed wrong. If you avoid them, you're going to become, I think, a dinosaur. And so, how do you find yourself in the space where you're
Right.
learning, guiding, and making moral decisions on this technology, even how you deploy it yourself?
Well, I could see that your team, everything was in place to keep it on the good side. And to what I really loved was the involvement with the employees, and every bit was so well thought out. And even when they first joined the company, they were welcomed. And then They were coached. And my second husband was ahead of his time. My late great second husband, he ran MasterCard's operations for a while. And what his talent was, he would see somebody who worked for him, their talent, and he would help them grow that. And then they would be so delighted with their lives and they would achieve more. And this, I could see the same kind of thing, but throughout this whole company, it was just like, it's all about, we're kind of on earth, I think, to serve each other, to help each other. And there you're doing in this company for your clients and your employees. I had such a good time with your book. I really did. It
Well,
was
first
like a
step,
breath
that
of
I
fresh
get
air in my
goosebumps.
life.
I get goosebumps
Mark,
whenever somebody says we're on this earth that, serve one another. It is what my mama taught me when I was a kid. It's probably the only superpower I've ever had because mama wouldn't have let me think otherwise. If you thought that the world was here to serve you, you had another thing coming, right? And the interesting
exactly.
part is I think the more we serve others, the more service serves us. So this idea
Absolutely.
of if you want to be wealthy and successful and famous, then take care of other people. Don't go out and try to become wealthy and famous because most people are going to look at you as very vain and self-advancing. And so the
Well, the
goal
people,
is
I'm
to give
sorry.
value. Give value to get
The,
value. That's it.
the people that I've known that have made a huge amount of money, but they're not doing that, they're very unhappy because
Yeah.
there they are all alone and everyone's after them for, trying to get favors or get them to invest in there or whatever. And I don't see the happiness there, but I do see it in this kind of thing. And again, just the way that employees were handled. And I wish I could remember all of your acronyms. I was taking notes furiously. Thank you for the PDFs. But I mean, it was a CI Care. That was
Yeah, CI
incredible.
care is a great acronym that, forget what the acronym is. It's basically as a template of how to serve people. How do we want to make sure every interaction goes from the beginning of connecting with people and making sure we're introducing ourselves and components of asking for permission and expressing gratitude. It's just kind of a flow sheet, if you will, and everyone is kind of measured against it and everyone understands it. And we look at the world through that lens. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It's just a way of relating to one another in a process that makes sure that human dignity and respect happens while we're driving your end goal success. So I'm excited that you found value in the book. I think that
Yeah.
again, when people do, it's a reflection of them. A book is a dialogue between the reader and the author. And there are people when I dialogue, they go, particularly if it's a required reading in a business class, you'll see all these reviews like, my professor made me read this stupid book. And then you'll find other people who will say, this book was amazing and it allowed me to do X, Y, and Z. And I read it and I go, it allowed you to do that. I wasn't even beginning to think that somebody could do that. That's truly amazing.
Oh,
And so I think there is the capacity to take any piece of conversation and build something great with it. I'm excited about your interest in doing so.
well, thank you so much. And one point I wanted to make too was what I really loved was how important respect for each other was. Respect for the client, respect for each employee, respect for your management, and how the management really got down and really, what did you call it when you went to the site to find value and to fix problems?
Sure.
Going to
Well,
Gemba.
walking to Gemba. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
It's
my God, that was
yeah.
a
Yeah.
phenomenal concept,
Yeah.
honestly. And I
I think
think
management
people
by
do that a
walking
little.
around in general is an important concept. And I think managers who stay in their cubicle or who don't engage to the level of observing and listening with their eyes, I think those are the folks who tend to miss out on being able to really, as your late great husband was, seeing the potential in others and helping them find it in themselves.
Yeah, and I think that especially coming from management and the coaching rather than managing, that was huge.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
usually, I mean, in my many decades ago work in the corporate segment, my boss, whatever he said went, and we didn't talk much about it, and he never gave me any kind of guidance or asked me how I felt about something. It was just I had my job to do. And I just like the fact that now it's a communication, it's a community. And I loved it. And I
I
actually
love, I was on Zoom calls regularly with the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, and he would start meetings by saying, "Hey, before we have our meeting, can you bring something of interest to you that's personally important to you and share that at the beginning of the Zoom call?" Right? So, like, I might bring, I have a statue over here that is symbolic of something for me, so I might bring that and share it, right? And it's realizing that all business is personal, as the title of that book says. I'll much rather do business with you, Steph, because you have an interest in who I am. And I'll tell you, I think if you look at employees who are engaged, their managers know about their kids and what their kids' interests are. The employees who are not engaged, they tend to be working for a manager who sees them as a human resource as opposed to a human being.
We used to call it compliment, a piece of compliment. Well, maybe we could end our conversation if you would share the statue story with me.
Oh my goodness, hold on, right here. Grab it right here. Gotta grab it right here. It is Tommy Trojan. It's the USC symbol, and it's outside. If you go to the University of Southern California campus, this is actually there. But I had a dear friend of mine who just worked on it without me knowing it and gifted
You're
it to me.
kidding.
And I can only tell you, most of the things that I get gifted, just they don't. It just took so much thought and effort to create this. It will be with
They
me.
made it for you?
Yeah, is that and it
You have
just
a friend that's a serious sculptor. I went
it's
to
a
art
serious,
school
yeah.
and I took one sculpture class and I know how hard that is to,
Yeah, they did all of that. It's
that's
amazing.
lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate this time. Thanks for sharing it with me.
Oh, I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it. You have no idea. Thank you, Joseph.
Bye now.